thank the gentleman from Kentucky, and I would just add to your comments, you started by talking about the federalism, the ability to kind of choose different tax laws, whatever laws, and this would actually facilitate higher taxes. It's a thumb on the scale in favor of higher taxes because it gives states the wherewithal to tax beyond their borders. And so we should at least be trying to go in the other direction. I mean, I want Florida to be more like Montana, not more like some of the other high-tax states. And so I think that bears repeating. So here are some of the folks who have written in via Twitter with their thoughts. Chris writes in, please tell the House that hashtag internet tax translates into higher costs for families and consumers. A weak economy cannot afford this. Andrew writes in, this will just be the 21st century version of Smoot Hawley. Lunacy from D.C. never cease. Jay writes in and says the internet tax is an inappropriate extension of the state's powers. It does not make commerce more fair. Another fellow writes in, says it's a revenue grab, plain and simple. No taxation without representation. Is that vague? Tiffany Lyle says, if you tax the internet, it's like taxing air. We work hard enough to earn what little we have. And then Glenn writes in, remind them of how the Stamp Act went. And so I have some more, but I will yield back to the gentleman from Kentucky because I know you probably have some more comments as well.
Well, those comments bring up a very good point, and so do your comments. If this is a finger on the scale for higher taxes, states get to arbitrate and decide what gets taxed in their state. So right now we have exemptions for farm products and whatnot, but some states tax professional services in the transaction. And of course this bill opens up financial service transactions in one state to consumers in another state. But where does this end? As Senator Baca stated on the other chamber, that not just the financial world would be open to taxes on their services, but also possibly attorneys, architects, engineers, and accountants. One can only imagine, by not asking the states to do anything to simplify their system in return for the benefit of having out-of-state business collect taxes for them, we're giving them carte blanche to the states to impose even more taxes on business. And again, I think I'd like to hear a few more comments from our constituents.
Yeah, we do have some more. Corey writes in, I feel it may hinder an online business I've just started. It's already making business pay. Mark says the hashtag internet tax won't help local stores, but will protect online incumbents from new competition. Taylor Newhouse writes in and says, I like the hashtag internet tax about as much as I like getting teeth pulled. We have another fellow writes in, says, it hurts small businesses and it's basically Walmart versus Amazon with consumers in the middle. And then finally, I think this is a great comment from Ian Stumpf. An internet tax will hurt one of the few remaining healthy sectors of the economy. Hashtag disastrous. And I yield back to the gentleman from Kentucky.
Thank you to the gentleman from Florida for sharing that with us. I think all too often we don't hear or listen as much to our constituents as we should. And on this issue, it's very important because those are in fact the people who are going to bear the burden of this new tax. And I will call it a new tax. It's unprecedented in our Constitution and in the history of this country. I'm going to end this discussion tonight the way it began and the way I said it would end and the way it would end. No single individual who's a proponent of this tax has told me that it's going to help the economy. In fact, when I point out that it will increase taxes on consumers, when it will increase burden on small businesses, and when it will apply pressure to offshore our online retailers, they all ultimately concede those points. This is not good for our country. The resistance to this bill comes from our constituents, and it's also bipartisan as well. So hopefully, by bringing light to this today, we will begin the conversation, begin the debate that all too often doesn't happen out in the open, and shed some light on this issue. Thank you, and I yield back, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The gentleman